Hey friends. So this morning, the raw vegan detox experience continues. And what was coming up for me today as I got up and did my morning routine is I was reminded, I just had my mind started to sort of explore the ways in which, detoxing an individual, detoxing our own body, which is a choice we can make, influences the world and what it might mean to detox the world. And I was recalling my early interest in this way of eating, and which of course carries with it generally an attendant lifestyle, was really motivated by seeing some of the ways in which food consumption influences the planet. There's some pretty significant impacts that humans have on our planet due to the way we eat. And by and large, the impact we have on the planet is similar to the impact that we have on our own individual body. This is the microcosm reflects the macrocosm, and vice versa. So making the choice to detox ourselves is having an influence in whatever small way on the world around us. And I think that's important to remember, and it's something that I sort of, I guess maybe it's just the nature of my own mind, but this might be kind of a universal thing. When we're in an experience that's kind of intense like this, it might be kind of difficult it's difficult for me not to think about the world. It's hard for me to close off. The ramifications and the sort of larger meaning just kind of shows up. And on one level, there's a sense of appreciating the challenge that the world faces by leaning into the challenge of our own individual cleansing, right? There's a way that what I'm feeling internally, whether it's resistance, although it hasn't really been resistance, it's been a kind of intensity. Somebody commented on one of my videos a few days ago. I think it might have been the first one, right after I started this cleanse, and the comment was about alkalinity and understanding what this all feels like. And I replied that there's a sense that when your body goes into an alkaline state, which is it doesn't go into an alkaline state instantly, but your diet starts to exert an alkaline tug on your whole system, right? If we're eating in a more alkaline way, then that's going to start to move that's not a linear process. It starts with the digestive system, but then it ripples out into the as I was explaining in that video, if because blood pH can't change, because blood flows through the brain, and a pH change in the blood would kill the brain. A very small pH change in the blood would kill the brain. Blood knows not to do that. Body knows not to do that. So our blood has to take um, alkaline resources where it can get them. If we're not providing those in our diet, it's going to go for our bones, it's going to go for our stomach lining, it's going to go for the alkaline resources that it's got at its disposal. But once we shift that, we start giving our system more of what it needs through the digestive system, through what we're consuming, it can start to adjust. It can start to not draw on those resources and sort of start to clean out other resources, draw on other things. It has the capacity to hold more waste and jettison more waste. So anyway, what that amounts to in my body as a feeling is this sense that's almost like astringent, like a kind of like, if you imagine like an alcohol, or alcohol is too strong, but something that's like gently, I imagine like witch hazel. Weirdly, this is just now we're just into my imagination of how this feels like. But like witch hazel, what it does to the skin, it kind of tightens the skin, draws things out. It's like a healthy leaching of toxins from the skin. Well, that's what it feels like to me internally in my entire body. I feel like my whole body goes into this astringent state. And I can just tell things are moving, things are being drawn on. My interior system is being drawn on in a way that's not normal. It's not how I habitually eat. It's not how I normally eat. Not in my normal state. And that's almost, I would say, the biggest thing for me, because that can become intense. By and large, I don't have massive food cravings. I can, and we're not in week 4 yet. I'll keep you posted when I'm not eating any food and just drinking juice. But the food cravings to me are not the most difficult thing to overcome usually. I think this varies from person to person. But that feeling of internal, like, it's cleansing. It's like somebody's taking Comet Cleanser to your interior. And when that becomes really intense, and when there sometimes can be an energetic correlation, like an energetic drop, like that can just feel exhausting and I just want to lie down or whatever. That's the most kind of powerful or challenging feeling. And I think on the level of the world, right now I'm sort of deliberately taking that experience and projecting it out or expanding it out. I think that's, but I think a kind of sustained pulling in the direction of health is also the most challenging thing we face as a society. I feel like the equivalent of eating sugar or of addictive food behaviors is addictive consciousness behaviors. Right? We can let our attention be pulled by the news, by political reports, by whatever our kind of favorite form of infotainment is. it's we don't always realize how big of an impact that's having on ourselves and on the world. And I think maybe that's what I'm trying to wake up to, and what I'm trying to really appreciate during this time of kind of an intense personal experience, is the fact that that's work we got to do. That day to day, minute to minute, exercise of awareness with regard to what I'm consuming, not just food, is a big thing. It's a big thing because ultimately this intense feeling that I talk about, that's kind of like hard to sustain sometimes, or that requires effort, is movement in the direction of health. My system is going in a direction that it should be going, that it wants to be going. I'm not being pulled off center. I'm being pulled towards center. But it feels like I'm being pulled out of my comfort zone, right? There's an exertion of pull in my system taking me in a certain direction. And there's so much to discuss in this. There's way more than I can get into in one post, but some of the ways we use food to pad emotions, and the kinds of emotions and things that come up when we stop eating the foods that are kind of creating like a buffer zone around our emotional life. That's a whole giant area of this. I'm lucky in that I've done this a number of times, and I've been through a lot of that already. So even if it kind of happens again, it's usually lighter because I've done it before and it's familiar. But being willing to go kind of go in there and do some of this work. I haven't done this in a long time, and this experience is really reminding me how important it is. Because ultimately, what was showing up this morning was I do want to be an influence on the world to make the world a healthier place. That's what all of us want, I believe. I don't know. I've never personally met anybody for whom I don't think that's the case. Now, I'm not saying there aren't dark forces out there. Maybe there are. But for those of us who know we want to give something to the world, it's like that begins with a certain kind of relationship, a certain kind of consciousness of our own interior that we have to manage. We gotta do that work. Step one. And I'm saying this for myself because it's been a while since I went here, and I can tell this is already evoking a different kind of energetic flow in my whole life, and it feels right. So, yeah. By the way, the reason I'm not playing any music is because my dad borrowed my keyboard and I don't have it here. Got the piano out there, but the house is asleep, as you can see. So, a couple of non-musical posts. I'll make up for it when I do my musical ones. Thanks for watching, folks. Have a great day. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow.